Hello and welcome everyone, it's Capcan, and today we're gonna look at the Paladin talent tree in the Dragonflight beta currently that we have in our on our screens right now. Yeah, so just I guess let's go and let's start from the things that they are taking and they probably don't give us any choice of taking or not taking this stuff. That's the main Paladin overall class tree, but it's gonna be spec'd for Retribution because in the second part or in the second video I'm gonna look at the Retribution tree, and anyways there we just need at least some generic Paladin tree out of any specs that had it. There are minor differences between the specs when it comes to the general tree, which means that yeah, you can mostly look at all the talents at any of the trees, and there are gonna be some minor differences. So what do we have baseline? Hammer of Wrath hurls a divine hammer that strikes an enemy for holy damage, only usable on enemies that have less than 20% health. Generates 1 holy power, has some recharge instant. We have Hammer of Wrath currently, and Auras of Swift Vengeance. Learn Retribution Aura and Crusader Aura. Retribution Aura gives you Avenging Wrath if somebody from your party or raid dies. And when any party or raid member within 40 yards takes more than 50% of their health and damage, you gain Seraphim for 4 seconds. This cannot occur more than once every 30 seconds. So that's the new part, and I guess this thing really gives this aura use. Because just waiting for people to die in your party or raid is almost never a tactic. But if someone just gets 50% of their health and damage and you're getting buff, maybe that's something okay, especially if you have a couple of paladins in your party and somebody can already take protection aura. Then that means that retribution's gonna be way more pleasurable than it was before. And Crusader Aura increases movement speed for all party and raid members within 40 yards. That's again what we currently already have. So then, Blessing of Freedom. Instant 25 seconds recharge. Blesses a party or raid member, granting immunity to movement impairing effects for 8 seconds. We already have this right now. Lay on Hands. Heals a friendly target for an amount equal to your maximum health. Cannot be used on the target with forbearance. Causes forbearance for 30 seconds. 10 minutes cooldown. So signature Paladin's ability. It's really funny that some Paladins may not take it. And it's always good to have your Lay on Hands. You're not really using it all the time, which means that, so yeah, there are definitely uses for it almost in every group or raid, even just in order to save your healer some mana in M+ once, but it's maybe it's gonna be more more efficient for you to take some damage talent instead of the Lay on Hands, or some mobility talent, some self-defense talent, which again, it's this part represents you a choice. If you're not using Lay on Hands, if you're forgetting about this cooldown totally, if you're not using Blessing of Freedom, especially maybe in dungeons where, or you just don't really have the reflexes needed in order to see on somebody, on someone from your party that they're impaired, you can save them from, I don't know, getting in some damage area or stuff like that. If you don't really have that awareness in your head, then you can probably just skip this thing and take this stuff, go with Divine Steed. Oh, but if you're skipping both of them, you don't really have an access to all this stuff unless you're going like this. Yes, and there are, well, we'll look at this aura of resolute. Okay, so again, interesting choice, because damage dealers especially, they're not really party oriented often. So people in, especially people in packs who doesn't really know each other, they probably wouldn't look after each other as hard as you will do in your constant party or in your guild raids and all that stuff. So I guess some people will definitely skip some of the choices that you can get here, just because you can get straight up buffs for yourself, passives that always will be useful on you and you wouldn't forget to use them and stuff like that. But for now, we're just gonna take it. Auras of the Resolute. There's Concentration Aura and Devotion Aura. So Concentration, interrupt and silence effects on party and raider members within 40 hours are 30% shorter. Fear effects also reduced with some other talent. And Devotion Aura, party and raid members within 40 hours are bolstered by their devotion, reducing damage taken by 3%. So Devotion Aura is your go-to aura if you're the only paladin in the party or in the raid, because 3% damage reducement is just you can't beat it with anything else. So you're probably, and you're probably gonna take it, maybe not in raid, because as you can see, if someone from your raid already has devotion or concentration, it doesn't matter. If you have enough paladins and you already have one talent in Auras of Swift Vengeance by default as retribution, so you can just ignore this part of the talent and maybe go even like this. So you're not taking two utility focused talents, you're saving yourself more points, stuff like that. That's why we have talent trees in the first place, in order for us to have more choices. So choose one. Repentance. Forces an enemy target to meditate, incapacitating them for 1 second, usable against humanoids, demons, undead, dragonskin, and giants. Pretty basic stuff. And Blinding Light emits dazzling light in all directions, blinding enemies within 10 yards, causing them to wander disoriented for 6 seconds. Non-holy damage will break the disorient effect. So both Blinding Light is one of the AoE interrupts for the paladins, which is most oftenly used in M+. Repentance, again, if you want to make one enemy sleep, if you need to skip the pack, if you need to if the pack is too strong and you want to kill part of the stack and then kill the rest of them, like one target in this case, you can use it. So both talents have their own use. You'll probably just take it depending on situation, where you need what. Where and what you need, I mean. So let's go with Blinding Light. Cleanse Toxins. Cleanse as a friendly target, removing all poison and disease effects. So 6.5 mana base mana cost, 8 seconds recharge. Again, probably Cleanse Toxins is not the thing that all the paladins use constantly, and that's more of a utility stuff. Seasoned Warhorse increases the duration of Divine Steed by 1 second and by 2 seconds for 2 talents. Feast of Justice. Each holy power spent reduces the remaining cooldown of Hammer of Justice by 1 second. And it doesn't scale. So it doesn't work properly in the talent tree here. Judgment. Judgment causes the target to take 25% increased damage from your next holy power ability, which is pretty good stuff for your rotation, just increasing the damage of your skills straight up. Holy Aegis. So now let's go, I guess again, section by section instead of line by line. Now section of that goes after utilitarian skills. Holy Aegis. Armor and critical strike chance increased by 2 and 4%, which is just good. Golden Path. Golden Path. Consecration heals you and up to 5 allies every 1 second while standing in it. So if I'm not mistaken, that's one of the conduit abilities currently from the Shadowlands. if I'm not mistaken. Judgment of Light. Judgment causes your the next 25 successful attacks against the target to heal the attacker for some part of spell power. That's our talent that we have. After Image. After you spend 20 holy power, your next Word of Glory echoes onto a nearby ally at 30% effectiveness. After you spend 20 holy power, your next... So after you're using your probably holy power on your damage abilities, then your Word of Glory stacks and creates a little bit more effective heal, which means that you have to spend your holy power on your Word of Glory, which means that you're gonna lose a bunch of DPS. And you probably don't really want to do that. You can, and that's hybridization options. But again, instead of like other hybrid classes, for example, shamans, they have their mana just sitting on them, and they don't have to. So. I guess the comparison that I wanted to do was more of a comparison of a skill that just costs your additional resource and skill that costs your main resource. So with your Word of Glory, you're using your main DPS resource in order to heal someone. And if you're using something like Flesh Heal or I can't remember how does it called in Paladins, Holy Light. Yes, if you're using your regular healing ability that costs mana that you do, and you don't really use your mana for your DPS abilities, you can use it only on hybrid like defensive, utilitarian, and healing abilities, you don't really lose so much DPS out of that. And here, with a problem of Word of Glory for Retribution Paladins in general, you're just using your you're like trading your DPS in order to heal someone for yourself maybe, and someone for 30% more, which is probably not the thing that many people are gonna do. Seal of Mercy. Golden Path strikes the lowest health ally within it and in additional time for 50% of its effect. So for 100%. So it's like what? Consecration heals you and up to 5 allies for attack power increased. Oh my god, multiplied by 5%. So 5% of your holy power. And then, what the fuck? So it's multiplied. So it's 5% of your attack power, and then it divided by 2. Which means that it's 0.25% of your... No. It's like 2.5% of your attack power. It heals up to 5 allies. But it doesn't really have any cast time. You can use it to heal your melee guys that are almost always stand near the boss and you, which means that it can be good, but I'm not sure about the numbers themselves. Again, then we're going to the Seal of Clarity. Spending holy power has a 5% chance to reduce the holy power cost of your next Word of Glory, or Light of Dawn, or Shield of the Righteous. Yeah, here we have Word of Glory by 1. And that's how you justify you using a Word of Glory. So that's for all the Retribution Paladins that want to be sub healers, but don't really want to. And you have now an ability to not lose your DPS in order to. I guess this thing stacks probably, and you have ability to have some Words of Glory weaved into your rotation freely without having your DPS, and it's gonna be increased effect as well. Aspirations of Divinity. Your Hammer of Righteousness. Hammer of Righteous, right? Or Hammer of Wrath? No, Blessed Hammer. Crusader Strike. Oh, yeah. Your Crusader Strike now also grants you 158 increased primary stat for 6 seconds. Multiple applications may overlap. It's quite interesting. Okay, so just by using your basic ability, you can have stacked. You can have a bunch of your primary stats stacked upon you for 6 seconds, and then they can overlap multiplicatively. Okay, I need to see how much. 158. Shit! It doesn't. Calculator is broken again. That's probably the thing that you're gonna like 100% take. No chances you're skipping this shit because it's just way too powerful. In my opinion, it's a little bit weird because you're like the problem with some of World of Warcraft classes, subclasses, in my opinion, is that you have your filler abilities that don't do shit, and then you have your hard hitting abilities. And Retribution Paladin is an example of that kind of stuff. So your Crusader strikes, they're worthless. They generate you your holy resource, but then again, it doesn't really see any impact out of the skill itself. Now it will grant you additional buff in order for your bursty skills to deal more damage, in order to your spender deal more damage. But that's again doesn't do the Crusader Strike itself better. You don't see mobs HP dropping almost at all when you're using your Crusader Strike. That's cool, that's very good. From the standpoint of your just raw player power, it's very good and you're gonna take it 100%, but why don't you just increase the damage of Crusader Strike itself? Okay, of Dusk and Dawn. When you reach 5 Holy Power, you gain Blessing of Dawn. When you reach 0 Holy Power, you gain Blessing of Dusk. Blessing of Dawn. Damage and healing increased by 6% for 15 seconds. And Blessing of Dusk. Damage taken reduced by 4% for 15 seconds. So that's buffs for 15 seconds? And you can maintain them almost forever. Which is very, very strong, and like both of them are very good. And it again changes your rotation. You have to wait until you stack all of them, then you use all of them. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty interesting. You probably already do some stuff similar to that, but yeah, just pretty cool skill, and that's a good implementation with that gives you some interesting interactions that changes your playstyle and rewards you rewards you for doing that rotation correctly. So yeah, I'm all for this talent. It's very cool. It gives you big numbers. Great. Seal of Order. In the Dawn, your holy power spending abilities. Oh, in the Dawn, your Dawn, it's when you're at 5 holy power. Your holy power spending abilities deal 10% increased damage and healing. In the Dusk, your armor is increased by 10%, and your holy power generating abilities cool down 10% faster. Man, I guess you're 100% taking this shit. We're gonna look what do we have here, but man, that's pretty powerful. Okay, so that was your left side of the tree, which was pretty mixed. You have more of a utilitarian stuff at first, and then, but again, for these aspirations of divinity, of Dusk and Dawn, you can just not take all this stuff and go from the center of tree, travel to here, and it's not gonna be like 100%. You have to be utility spec in order to get your aspirations of divinity and stuff. So yeah, that was just mostly utilitarian based part of the tree, ignoring these talents. Now, what do we have at center? Avenging Wrath. Call upon the light and become the avatar of retribution, increasing your damage. Oh shit! So Avenging Wrath is talent. Holy crap! Is somebody gonna like not take Avenging Wrath? Holy! Some situations are gonna be so interesting in the game, I guess. But again, not as much of new players mean probably there's not going to be so much interesting situations. Call upon the light and become the avatar of retribution, increasing your damage and healing done by 20% for 20 seconds and allowing Hammer of Wrath to be cast on any target. Combines with other Avenging Wrath abilities, granting all known Avenging Wrath effects while active. So that's our main DPS cooldown. You're gonna take it 100% in any situation. Blessing of Sacrifice. Blesses a party or raid member, reducing their damage taken by 30%, but you suffer 100% of damage prevented. Last 12 seconds or until transferred damage would cause you to fall below 20% health. 2 minutes recharge. 1 charge. Again, that's probably the thing that many people are gonna ignore. Maybe not many people, but some people will definitely do, because that's one of the skills that you're mostly forgetting about using, because probably damage, that's more of a coordinated party stuff. That's not for pugs. Mostly not for pugs. That's mostly not for M+, where everybody takes some damage, and it's probably gonna be all over your party and yourself included, and you probably wouldn't have any need of taking extra additional damage from somebody. But still, it's basic. It's baseline Paladin skill. You can still take it. It's good. Probably many people wouldn't take it though. Turn evil. The power of the light compels an undead, aberration, or demon target to flee for up to 40 seconds. Damage may break the effect. Lesser creatures have a chance to be destroyed. Only one target can be turned at a time. Very situational skill. Blessing of Protection. Blesses a party or raid member, granting immunity to physical damage and harmful effects for 10 seconds. Cannot be used on a target with Forbearance. Causes Forbearance for 30 seconds. Again, Blessing of Protection is very strong skill that gives you immunity to one type of damage. It has tons of uses everywhere, and again, it's kind of situational, because in random groups you don't really see used it that much, that often. You don't really see people rely on it as well. More of a coordinated plays skill, or just self cooldown in order to not take damage in some crucial situations. You probably want to take it, but I do see how people wouldn't do that. But again, you need at least some skills to be taken in order to get to this part of the tree, which means that probably some of these are gonna be taken, and Blessing of Protection has a very high chance amidst every other spell to be taken and to give you a path down below after it. Choose one. Sacrifice of the Just. Reduces the cooldown of Blessing of Sacrifice by 60 seconds. Recompense. After your Blessing of Sacrifice ends, 50% of the total damage is diverted. Diverted is added to your next Judgment cast as bonus damage, or your next Word of Glory as bonus healing. Okay, so that's an incentive for people to use that shit. Like, that's quite a lot, and I mean, for PvP it seems kinda broken, and probably there are gonna be some other numbers, because 50% of the total damage it diverts 30% damage, so it's like 15% damage taken in 12 seconds, which is quite a lot, and your Judgment is gonna like burst the fuck out of the target afterwards. So probably, Recompense definitely makes this skill to see more use. But again, with 2 minutes cooldown, it's hard for me to imagine how are you gonna use it not in PvP situations. Still quite interesting. Unbreakable Spirit reduces the cooldown of your Divine Shield, Divine Protection, and Lay on Hands by 30%. So that's just more uptime of your panic buttons on you or on your allies. Choose 1. Improved Blessing of Protection. Reduces the cooldown of Blessing of Protection by 60 seconds, which means 4 minutes cooldown out of 5 minutes. And Blessing of Spell Warding. Replaces Blessing of Protection, blesses a party or raid member, granting immunity to magical damage and harmful effects for 10 seconds. Cannot be used on a target with Forbearance. Causes Forbearance for 30 seconds. Pretty interesting. Of course, it's gonna be definitely used a lot in like probably millions of situations. You want magic immunity instead of physical immunity, depends on your raid encounter and stuff like that. And it's definitely gonna be taken a lot, especially in raiding environment. Probably not that much in like your PV in your M+, and it's very good for PvP as well, because you always know what's up you're against, and changing your talent pre-spec talents from the physical immunity to magic immunity, it's gonna be very, very, very cool. Choose 1. Divine Purpose. Holy Power abilities have a 15% chance to make your next Holy Power ability free and deal 20% increased damage and healing. If I'm not mistaken, we already have that currently. It's very good. And Holy Avenger. Instant 3 minutes cooldown. Your Holy Power generation is tripled for 20 seconds. Again, more of a bursty option, more of a definitely PvP option in my opinion. Yeah, both talents we already have them. They're both pretty good. What do we have here? Seal of Might. During Avenging Wrath, your mastery is increased by 4%. So here we had, I guess, where is this? Where is that critical strikes? No. Wait a second. Yes. Armor and critical strike increased by 4%, and here we have your mastery increased by 8%, which means that you can be specced into some of the stats, and you're gonna get some additional bonuses for it. And here we have haste increased by 2% with Seal of Alacrity. Yeah, which means that you're free to all in some of your stats if you want to, if you know your character, if you know how to build, or if you just if you was unlucky and you have like gear with some stats that maybe not beast for you, you can just increase them and get some more value out of it. Now, Seraphim. The light magnifies your power for 15 seconds, granting 8% haste, critical strike, and versatility, and some percent of mastery. 45 seconds cooldown, costs 3 holy power, instant cast. Yeah, so that's just you're buffing yourself. We have Seraphim already. And Sanctified Wrath. Avenging Wrath lasts 25% longer and causes Judgment to generate 1 additional holy power. Probably Sanctified Wrath is gonna be your talent to go, but again, when you have big numbers of haste, critical strike, versatility, mastery, when you're later into the expansion, when you're having the numbers ramp up, it may be better options to go with Seraphim. Depends on situation. It's both abilities that or talents that we currently have already in our trees, so nothing new there. Okay, let's go here, and now choose 1. Improved Blessing of Protection. We've already saw that. Okay, so we're starting from here. Seal of the Templar. While mounted on your charger or under the effects of Crusader Aura, the ranges of Hammer of Righteous, Templar Verdict, Rebuke, and Hammer of Justice, Hammer of Wrath, no, are increased by 3 yards. Cider Strike, maybe that's Crusader Strike? So you have a little bit more range on your abilities while you're on your charger from Divine Steed. Interesting stuff. I don't really know how much are you gonna take use out of it, but you have this Seasoned Warhorse that increases the duration of your Divine Steed for 2 seconds as well. So yeah, interesting. Maybe if you're unable to be close to your target and you still want to continue DPSing, but Cider Strike, I don't really know. And you need to be in your Crusader aura again in order for you to have the utility of this talent. Rebuke interrupts spellcasting, prevents any spell in that school from being cast for 4 seconds. The fact that that's a talent and it's not in baseline skills makes me quite fucking sad. Probably many people are gonna, not many people, but some people are gonna just not take it, and that's gonna be bad, especially for M+. Seal of Reprisal. Your damaging holy power spending abilities deal 5% more increased damage. So just plus 10% damage for your holy power spending abilities. It's very powerful. You're probably gonna take it after you're probably gonna take Rebuke, after you're probably gonna take Judgment. So this is quite a no-brainer for me. Choose one. It's all speaking from the Retribution Paladin point of view. Yeah, that's one of the things that's probably my mistake. I'm looking at the whole class tree, deciding upon different types of talents, thinking in my mind how it's gonna combinate with the spec that I'm gonna review right next to this poor part of the tree, to this tree, I mean. And that's quite that hurts my perspective on other specs. And in the general video, it's gonna look a little bit weird, but what can you do with it? I'm gonna try to be more cautious about it though in the future. Incandescence, choose one. Incandescence, approximately 5 procs per minute, so once every 13 seconds. 12 seconds. Each holy power you spend has a 5% chance to cause your consecration to flare up, dealing 36% of attack power holy damage to up to 6 enemies standing with it. So it's, if you want to build into consecration, I don't know, maybe consecration deals more damage in the Dragonflight and you're gonna use it anyway. Oh man, that's not just... I'm mistaking this talent tree with retribution tree so hard, holy shit. Yeah, so that's quite interesting talent, especially for protection. Requires Paladin. Your spells and abilities have a chance to cause your target to erupt in a blinding light, dealing 497 holy damage or healing an ally for 580 health. So just your approximately 3 procs per minute. So every 20 seconds, somewhat, and you just have additional damage or healing. So just passive stuff or playing through the consecration. Yeah, so passive stuff is gonna be taken probably by just anyone. Hallowed Ground. Consecration damage is increased by 10%. Yeah, that's I guess more of a protection, maybe retribution talent. Speed and avoidance increased by 2%. Avoidance and speed. That's quite interesting because, yep, that's not in line with the other secondary stats, and there are no secondary stats here. It's just interesting that you can get percentage increases for that for those stats. Seal of the Crusader, approximately 4 procs per minute. Your attacks have a chance to cause your target to take 5% increased holy damage for 5 seconds. Increased holy damage, which means that they're gonna take increased damage not only from you, but from priests as well. Which is quite interesting, of course. Yeah, some not increased damage from you. And maybe there are 10% here. Yes, 10% for 5 seconds. Interesting, 4 procs per minute. It's quite, you're gonna have the uptime of this seal quite often. So this tree is very good for your retribution. This part of the tree is very good for your retribution paladins. The Mad Paragon, oh, so legendary power returns. Hammer of Wrath deals 10% additional damage and extends the duration of Avenging Wrath by 1 second. And your Hammer of Wrath is gonna be usable. On any target during your Avenging Wrath, but it has its own cooldown. But with more haste, it's probably gonna be a little bit better. Yeah, so the Mad Paragon is here. Definitely quite interesting tree. Way more utility that can be forgotten about in the general Paladin tree if compared to Warrior especially. So you can take a lot less of your baseline utility stuff that you currently have and take instead of it more damage, more your own stats. It's interesting to see how it's gonna go. Further away, this last row's things, they're not as impressive as I've saw some of talents in Priest and Warrior tree already, but it still is just quite good. There's not that much new stuff here, definitely, compared to other classes, and that's probably just because Paladins already have a wide variety of different stuff that they can do. In terms of their healing, in terms of their utility, in terms of their ways of how they are applying damage to enemies, and all that stuff. So it's quite interesting how it's gonna be. Thank you for sitting here with me and listening to my readings. I hope you've enjoyed the content. Please subscribe to my channel if it's not hard for you. It's gonna be definitely very, very very cool for me to see that people like this stuff. Yeah, I hope you're doing well. Have a good day and goodbye.